Oh,
fuck.
yes. That is going on the internet. This is going on the internet, friends.
Intellectual property in the hospitality industry. Who owns a recipe? Hello, TK.
Pete, how are you, mate?
I'm wonderful, thank you. How are you?
I'm fantastic.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'm great too.
Oh, who's that?
Fuck. I think we're going to regret giving him a microphone, honestly.
If I can stick it straight.
Hello, Corey.
Hello, Corey.
Hello, Peter and Tony.
Welcome.
I think he's sucking a lozenge to get his voice all nice and
buttery, silky, dulcet tones coming from the...
say buttery again.
I've been watching Kevin Costner in Yellowstone, so
Oh, that's gravelly.
I nearly brought my 4/6 jacket tonight.
no, you should have had the hat as well.
It was only fucking 22 and it was still a bit
special
chilly.
occasions. It is getting a bit cool, actually. All right, let's...
What's going on this week, Pete?
Mate, we've got...
You worked your way
bit to
through...
talk about.
You worked your way through all those comments about McDonald's?
Yeah, I have. We're going to talk
Few
about...
people hate them, few people love them.
Well, yeah, I think a few is an understatement. We're going to get to that, I think. But I think what we might do
First things
first up is have a taste of some booze. So this is fun little wine. This is the Polpero Pinot Noir from Mornington Peninsula. Now, Sam Coverdale from Polpero actually caught up with him yesterday. But these wines, I've been really fortunate to look at these wines for quite some time, and I went down and stayed in the vineyard over 10 years ago now, and it's been really fun to sort of watch the evolution of this wine and this brand, I suppose, and they're just in a really good spot, and I love what this is. So this is a state Pinot. They've got some single vineyard wines as well, but this comes from multiple sites within the Mornington, and so you get this really lovely balance, because the Mornington's got this really cool sort of patchwork of soil. There's lots of light sand, and then there's some clay, and there's some other bits and pieces around. But so you end up with the stuff on the on the sand is a little bit lighter and brighter. The clay a little bit darker, heavier sort of flavors and characters.
Is there a lot of whole bunch Pinot get grown in Mornington, or is it just my imagination? Because a lot of wineries that I love do a whole bunch, and they're in the Mornington. Is it something they're famous for, or not really?
No, I think it's just Pinot Noir in general.
Right.
I mean, whole bunch is definitely a thing that sort of people started talking about really heavily. Like whole bunch has been around for hundreds and hundreds of years.
Yeah.
And what we're talking about there is basically, instead of just pressing the juice and fermenting the juice, we actually leave the berries in and start the ferment with the whole bunch. And what that does, it actually gives you these really intense aromatics. And sometimes you can get this kind of slightly herbal sort of note to it, because it's also, you're talking about the stems as well, which are in there, which can be green if they're not lignified. So yeah, a whole bunch is definitely a thing.
What characteristics will the stems give you? More tannin?
It's green. It's like, because tannin comes from the skins and seeds and everything else.
Side of your tongue ripping or not?
More back of the palate. So it's going to be tannin, but it's also going to give you aromatics and the real herbal thing. And if they're too green, you shouldn't be using them, because it becomes quite mentholy.
That tastes so different to what it looks.
Yeah. So okay, great. I love that, because that's exactly what I was going to say. So you look at this and you think it's going to be
cordial,
right?
Yeah,
it's like thermonuclear bright,
cheap Otago Pinot, and it's not.
Oh, that's nice. There's
it
no
doesn't
such
exist.
a thing.
I know, but you know what I mean. Like,
point me in that direction, please. But
it's got really good power.
Yeah, there's
weight,
absolutely, and that's what I think. That's when you talk about when you're blending vineyards with different soil types, and they're basically all vinified pretty much exactly the same. But yeah, there's an intensity to this wine that I really like. It's kind of, we were talking about it yesterday with Sam. And I said, for me, it's like there's two of the single vineyard wines that were remarkably different, and this is closer to one of them than the other. And it was funny because with the team we were looking at, there was two wines, and I was like, everyone's going to like this, but the customer's going to like this.
Yeah, right.
And it was good because everyone picked up on that as well. It's like, that's like the wine wankers want to drink that one. It's a single vineyard wine called the Mill Hill Vineyard. It's got more of the bunch. It's got more of the crunch, more like energy. It's kind of way more, not interesting, but there's just more going on. Whereas this wine, Sam described as more like a hug.
Yeah.
It's
I
just
get that.
Like,
It's a good analogy.
There's a comfort to it. It's almost like this is the bangers and mash of wine, or Pinot Noir from the
But you don't have to be a wine snob to enjoy that.
No, totally not.
Absolutely.
I mean? That's the thing. This is just yummy.
And tell me, what other wine does Polpero do really well? Because we're massive supporters of Polpero, and we love it. We sell a bunch of it.
Yep.
But I know that we sell a bunch of Pinot, but I'm not really across
What
the
else?
other ones.
So they've got 2 brands. Polpero is their fruit that's all Mornington, and then they've got a brand called Even Keel as well, which is Sam's way of playing in other regions and with other varieties.
Right.
So Polpero is pretty much Pinot and Chard, and then Even Keel, they've got a Fiano, which I tasted yesterday, which is
Yeah, I love Fiano.
lovely, really lovely, really that saline, crunchy kind of style. Then there's a Chardonnay from Tumbarumba, which is cool. Classic sort of Tumbarumba, kind of a richer style, but really, really delicious wine. So their focus is really Pinot and Chard, though. And, they've got like the estates, and then they've got the single vineyards. So there's 5 single vineyard Pinots. And I think the same Chardonnay might be 4 Chardonnays. So, but yeah, look, really lovely wine. I think Mornington's one. It almost suffers from being so close to Melbourne.
Yeah.
It's like you can get there real quick now, and I think it's one of those places where when you go down there, it can be overwhelming because there's a lot of wineries. There's a lot of small wineries that you don't really see represented outside of the region as well, and so Melbourne people are sort of spoiled, but then the rest of Australia doesn't see them as much. I think that's my sort of thoughts on it. But I used to spend a lot of time down there. I mean, when Lachlan was really little, we'd drive down there almost every day. When I was staying with my sisters, just when he would get up that stupid o'clock, drive down to Mornington and spend the morning down there, have a coffee, have a bit of a wander around. And I really like it. I think it's a beautiful part of the world, and there's some really great sites there as well. And it's just interesting to sort of see because it's still only. The plantings were really sort of got heavy there in the sort of 70s and 80s really. So the vines are starting to get some decent age on them, and there's some great quality wines. But
it's a cracker.
I love what Sam's doing.
I struggle ordering this wine. I get very happy when it's in my glass, but I've got to overcome the fact that all I can see is Chris's feet in it. Chris from the bottle shop at
right.
Because he goes down and does vineyard every year.
Yeah,
He's mad fans of these guys. And he was telling me about the process of how he goes down and picks the grapes, and then every single time I look at that bottle wanting to drink it, all I can see is his filthy feet, and I'm like, I know that they don't squeeze the grapes with their feet, but I just can't fucking help it.
Mate, there was certainly, there's wines that I've sold that I've certainly could have had some fungus in it. So, some of the wines, there's a couple of vintages of things that I certainly had some foot into, but they're gone now.
Generally, what would people expect to pay for something like that in a bottle shop?
Something like that in a bottle shop, I think we're around 45, 50-ish. So serious wine.
I was about to say, but it seems
that,
like great value.
That's the thing. I think it might have been a little bit less actually, but it's, as I said, This is a go-to wine. This is just easy. You don't have to think about it. It's going to be a crowd pleaser as well because it has that hugging.
You won't find too many wines of that quality for under $50.
No, definitely not. Not Pinot.
No, that's for
It's
sure.
almost impossible. So.
It's a cracker.
Good fun.
Awesome.
Drink that.
Cheers to Polpero.
Cheers to Polpero and Sam. All right, so before we do anything else, there's a lot going on in the world right now, food and wine world, particularly in Australia, with regards to IP, intellectual property.
Blew up a little bit today, didn't it?
Yeah, there's a fair bit going on literally the last couple of days. And it's interesting to sort of watch. I don't really know much about it, so little caveat on there. I don't know. We probably shouldn't really be commenting on this, and I'm not going to comment on that, what's actually happening with those people specifically, but to give you those people that haven't seen it, a brief synopsis is there's an online content creator who's been around forever, and they're now claiming that someone else who's just launched a book, I think it was a couple of years ago now, has got her recipes in it. So, and then there's other people that are saying same thing, and now someone else has come out today and said that she's got one of their recipes. So it begs the question, and I know you've got some very strong feelings on this, and hence the reason we're gonna open up the conversation about it. But who owns a recipe?
And what's original? Like, I just don't understand. I got accused years ago by some 2-bob watch joint over at Kawana or Britannia or somewhere there when I had Donut Boys and we started doing cronuts.
Yep.
That they invented cronuts and I stole the idea.
Yeah.
And very tongue in cheek, I tore them up.
Yeah.
Because Dominic Ansell Bakery in New York City.
Yeah.
invented the Corona a
I'm pretty
zillion
sure it
years ago,
wasn't
right?
them, yeah.
But what if you don't want people to use your recipe or have it, then don't put it on the fucking internet. Like, I just don't understand, because I can give you the rice boy beef curry recipe.
Well, I'll never be able to do it the same.
Corey's got it. He's made it 1,000 times. I've got it.
Yeah.
We could all make it. It will be different.
Yeah.
And
whose would be best?
Clearly mine. No, he's probably made it more.
Corey's
than me.
like, actually, point of order.
But my point being is that a recipe only makes up this much of it. Now, there's a part of me, I get it, but like if I'm making a vanilla sponge cake recipe,
yeah,
I've got like 3 recipes for vanilla sponge. Now, who owns those recipes? I didn't. They're not mine. So I use them.
So where do they come from?
Oh God, I couldn't even tell you. Whether it be from LaRousse,
yeah,
or
someone's grandma gave you one,
or I had a recipe and then I tweaked it.
Yeah.
And now it's my recipe.
Yeah.
And I tweaked it without going. That started off in a Scoffier cookbook, and now I've dialed down the baking powder and I've dialed up the, but white bread. Whose is that? Beef jus. Whose is that?
Mr. Jus.
If I put half a bunch of lemon thyme or half a bunch of fucking rosemary less in my beef stock, does that mean it's my recipe and not yours anymore? I mean, I just find it a bit like, really? I think, and you're talking about biscuits and cakes.
It's murky.
And biscuits and cake, anything pastry, I'm not telling you guys anything, but pastry is a very, very precise art, right?
It's an exacting science.
So just because I put exactly the same amount of baking powder in it as what your recipe does, I may never have looked at your recipe.
Yeah.
But if you're looking at some things like souffle, there's not that many fucking ingredients in it.
No.
So
like beer.
Just because one person becomes famous, and then they print, or digitally print their recipe, and then somebody else sees it and says, "Well, that's pretty similar to mine."
Yeah.
Now, have you seen the recipe that is in question? It is identical.
Right.
Identical.
I've seen like an excerpt or something, and it was like, oh, well, it's pretty bloody similar. But same thing. It's like, and Corey had a good point when we were talking before about, and I'm not saying this is the case, but these, like now, if you put into one of the many AI
GPT
things
1000 or whatever,
find me the best recipe for chocolate chip cookies, it's gonna scour the internet in 0.x of a second, and come up probably with the one that's been viewed the most. And go, here's the recipe. It's like, is it?
If you go to Paprika, it's an app which all of our kitchens use.
Paprika.
Yep. So it's a recipe app, right?
Yeah.
Where is it? Paprika. So if I go to Paprika and I can go to browse, and then I can type in here vanilla sponge. And then it will do exactly what you said. It searches the internet.
Right.
For every single recipe known to mankind. So I'll just randomly pick one, okay? Jane's Patisserie. Never heard of them.
Sounds great.
Download. Now it's my recipe. It's in a recipe format.
Yeah, right.
But
wow.
If Jane doesn't want her recipes used, now I get if you're publishing it, but where does it not, like that there, if I have a quick look at this recipe, it's more or less the same as what
I was going to say.
I
mean, again, we're talking about the
sponge cake
flour,
recipe,
eggs,
jam and cream.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, so, yeah, and then I know that I've worked with a bunch of people that go, you can't have my recipe. Like, I'm not public. You can't have that.
For what kind of thing? Like for something like that, or for something more
curry.
niche? Okay.
Like dressings, marinades.
Yeah.
It's the secret recipe. But yeah, I've always been very blasé about it. I'm like, fucking have it. Because if I walk into one of our apprentices' restaurants in 20 years' time and see one of our dishes on the menu,
great,
I'm chuffed.
I think the thing is as well is that you're not making money out of your recipes. You're making money out of the product.
True.
Right? Whereas these people are selling cookbooks and selling. I assume there's some kind of subscription for the websites and those kind of things. But so it's like it's a slightly different stage. It's the same thing.
Yeah, but are you trying in any way, shape, or form to tell me that vanilla sponge cake recipe is that unique that person created it, invented it, and no one's ever done that before?
No,
because I reckon that's a long bow.
Challenging, and like you said, you make one adjustment, it's no longer the same recipe. It's like when we talk about making gin, for example. Like you're distilling gin, you add one more juniper berry to that, it changes it completely.
Right.
So it's like that kind of science where it has to be that exact. Those kind of micro changes have a massive impact.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I think that's the thing. But it's like, I also feel for them, if someone spent all of this time and years and years and years creating their own kind of database of recipes, but...
Did Rickshaw's create a bug roll?
I don't know. They created the one that they do. Probably not. Is that what you say?
They probably do it better than fucking everybody else.
Yeah.
That's the reason why they sell 1 million of them.
Yeah.
They didn't create that.
No. But that's the thing. It's like
hell.
Whatever. James might just tweak the mayonnaise a little bit, and that kind of stuff, and all of a sudden it's a different thing. Or the bread's slightly XYZ, and that's where those differences are.
I'm not suggesting that these plagiarised anybody. I'm just saying that he never created a bug roll. Just like the person who does prawn rolls never created a prawn roll.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I have no doubt that there's something unique in that
Absolutely,
that he does. And
yeah.
that's the reason why it's so fucking delicious.
Yeah.
But it's the same as like Caesar salad. Like, I get what you're saying, but also I'm a bit like, if I got upset for every single restaurant on the Sunshine Coast that's currently serving massaman beef curry or coconut braised beef curry or, like any number of things off the rice boy menu, thinking that because if they put 2 different types of bao buns, 3 different curries and a pork dumpling on the menu, that they're going to do 1 million people a week.
Yeah.
It's just untrue. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It may.
Yeah.
But
it's unlikely. It's also that...
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's really interesting because if you look at most markets for any other industry, being first is really important.
Yeah.
But with food, it's not.
But I just
unless you're trying to do a cronut or something like that.
I'm really like to be the very first. Fucking hell, you're talking about a properly unique product. Because I don't know anybody who's created something that's that unique that I know factually that's the first time it's ever been done.
I think the only thing you could say that would be like if someone's bringing back like an ancient grain that's been buried for 4,000 years, or a fruit that's just no one's really eaten before, and you're doing something with that. But you're still going to be using all of the knowledge that you have and all the books and all the internet to find what to do with that thing. Yeah. So, yeah, it's always going to be a tweak, more than something completely new. Well, we used to joke it back in, and Dave Pugh, I know you retired last week, and I love you very much, but we used to joke at restaurant too that every month when we changed the menu, all we'd do is just slide everything down one. With all the garnishes would just slide down one, and then we'd just keep on sort of rinse and repeat. It was never really like that, but sometimes it was kind of similar to that. So we weren't trying to reinvent that.
What would be interesting is if you grabbed, I don't know, LaRousse, Charlie Trotter, French Laundry, Gordon Ramsay,
Marco.
Look for Bernays or Jus Gras.
Yeah.
Or
I think stock's a good one as well.
So. Beef stock. Who's plagiarizing who?
And that's the thing. It's like there's certain things that almost feel like they're shared knowledge.
And I get there's probably a caveat around the mother sources and stocks.
Yeah.
I think it's more in the fact that
Did you eat my prawns, you fat bastard?
Oh, sorry, mate. I thought you...
Oh, yeah, I wanted olives for my dinner.
Sorry.
Off topic a bit.
Do you think he ordered you fucking 2 courses?
Yeah, well, that's what I thought.
Just some fresh Balulaba prawns and a fucking steak.
I will go and order you another one as soon as I'm done here.
Jesus.
Fucking give the guy a microphone.
Fucking hell.
Anyway.
What do you need, mate?
You're fucking dead to me. Sorry. Keep going.
So, from what I'm reading, I think it's more... not so much about the recipe as it is about just the blatant plagiarism. So
what isn't that part of the? Or you're talking about like the method and the
it was legitimately word for word,
right?
Yes, but the thing that I wanted to ask you though, like if someone had, let's say, gone to Rice Boy, essentially made a photocopy of the menu, then replaced your logo with theirs, would you chase it down then?
That's happened. I've seen that happen.
Yeah. Well, no, I wouldn't chase it down. That's a true thing. Like, or just
people have done it.
Take any number of dishes.
Imitation is the biggest form of flattery. Yeah. That's kind of the joke. But this is the thing. It's like there was a restaurant in Brisbane that opened up. I don't know how long ago now. It was a long time ago. But it was guys that worked at a certain very famous pizza restaurant in the Valley. They left there, opened up a pizza restaurant in Paddington where it was identical, the menu. Like the actual format, the layout, everything, like 90% of the
I just think you make yourself look like a fucking goose.
That's the thing. I remember it was reviewed at the time, and it's like, I think Lizzie reviewed it, and she was like, imitation is meant to be the biggest form of flattery, but at least do it fucking 10 kilometers away. Because it's like, it was incredible. And I suppose, so I get it from their point of view, they were pissed, but it's like, it's never going to be the same. Like you said, it's never going to be the same place. It's not the same. It's literally not the same location.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be something slightly different about it.
Yeah, great.
I certainly agree with the, if I think I've created something, or I believe I have, and I have, to my perception is my reality.
Yep.
And I see someone doing exactly the same thing, I would be pissed.
Yep.
Particularly if it was affecting my income.
Yeah.
I think that's where it's like, okay, well then what do you do there?
Is it affecting the other person's income?
I don't know. And that's the thing. I don't know enough about this. I just know that it's certainly a conversation that a lot of people are having right now in our industry. And then it's like, well, where does it stop?
Yeah.
Like I said before, like beer. It's only 4 ingredients in beer. Who started that?
And,
the monks?
I agree.
Do we have to give $5 to the Trappist monks every time we make a beer? I mean,
I've got a saying, just don't be bitter, just be better.
Yeah. I mean, obviously that's simplifying it, but it's like anything else. I would say that in the golf thing. It's like people go and complaining about the golf course. Like, we'll just fucking be better. The bunkers are too whatever. The rough's too long. Don't hit in the rough. You're not meant to.
Yep.
That's part of the game.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I don't know whether I've answered all those questions properly, but yeah, I look at it and I think
we've got your opinion, definitely.
I just think that food's one of those things, and I could just keep going on. Roast chicken.
Yeah.
Like, I distinctly remember my very first time I ever went to Paris, and the roast chickens on the street.
The breast chickens, or
with the potatoes that are getting roasted and chicken fat underneath it. And I come home every day and I try and, ever since that time, trying to recreate that. And it's never tasted the same. But
it never will.
Who am I plagiarising there? It's one of the greatest things I've ever eaten in my life.
You're not trying to make money out of it.
It's a slippery slope.
That's the thing. It's serious. And certainly looking at it, the little bit that I did today, it's like, this is the epitome of grey area.
And I would love to know how many human beings have gone to rickshaws, ordered a bug roll, then gone back and put it on their fucking menu.
Yeah,
because they think in their ridiculous mind that if they put bug roll on that menu, they will be as busy as rickshaws.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like it's the sum of all parts. It's not one thing. I think that's maybe one way to look at it. It's like that's one recipe on a website with 1,000 recipes, but it's been highlighted by someone else who's got a new market and got a different audience and da-da-da. So I don't know. It is an interesting one. I think it will get messier before it gets cleaned for sure. And I think that
people are really vocal about it, but it's just I'm a bit indifferent about recipes. I think that if you're putting them out there, fucking so be it. Let it go and take pleasure in seeing somebody else using it.
Yeah.
But why don't you fucking put a comment below and let us know what you think.
I'm sure there will be some comments on this one for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Corey, where else did you want to take this?
That was about it.
Okay.
I just had a funny little story from the land of IP in terms of photos. There was this photographer who was putting on all these exhibitions all around the world and was, making millions of dollars from these photos.
Selling the photos?
Yeah, this is like back in the heyday, like the 80s, the early 90s, I believe. Anyway, what got unearthed was this guy wasn't actually taking the photos. He was taking photos of advertisements for like old cigarettes, like for like old ads for like what do you call
Marlboro.
it? Yeah, them.
Yeah.
And it's like of cowboys and stuff like that. And he was saying like similar to what we're talking about now, like how do you justify, like how do you kind of work around this?
By taking a photo of it,
taking this photo, it's my artwork. Like, and he went on and made millions from this, like millions of dollars.
You take a photo of a photo.
That's exactly what we've done.
Yeah,
It's
exactly what he's done.
Then what happens?
And like,
but I think that's where it's like there's a likeness thing. So it's like that's the test for IP is like, how similar is it?
Yeah.
You know, it's like are the kernels the same on the words? Are the all that kind of stuff? There's so many things that they look at about how similar it is because it happens all the time in the wine world as well. Yeah. Veuve Clicquot have been notorious for suing people about the color because they own that color, orange.
Do they?
Yeah, it's a Pantone color. It's just theirs.
Wow.
And so I think it's Pantone anyway, but it's their color. And so they have apparently the rumors are that there is a wall of like shame basically in their offices of all the wineries that they've sued with all the labels, and how because everyone's going to fold. You're not going to exactly take on LVMH at any time soon. But yeah, it was a thing because there was.
The trademarking process is pretty interesting, though.
Absolutely. But Steve Ljubljana, he had it on his sparkling many years ago it was orange.
Really?
It was very similar. I'm pretty sure it was Steve.
Did he get a letter?
Yeah. Got the cease and desist.
Did I tell you? I
read after that.
I had to do it with Penrith Leagues Club.
Penrith Leagues Club? Oh, that's right. They had a rice boy.
Or a rice girl. Rice boy, BOY, something like that.
But it was very...
Mate, when I found that out, I had a proper moment to myself going, oh, shit. Would you imagine sending Penrith fucking Leagues Club a letter? Do you know how much money those guys got?
Yeah, they churned.
Holy fuck. And
that's huge, that place. I used to drive past it to go out to one of the Spices properties. It's so big.
This restaurant was quite new, and they'd got a chef from the Mirabelle group. It was proper. They spent a bunch of money on it, but it was so fucking belligerent. And our lawyers sent them a letter. They ignored the first three, and then they hand-delivered one. Boom, bunta.
From the lawyers?
Yep.
Telling you to stop?
No. We told them to. They need to take the fucking sign off the wall because we trademark. I need the info, but we've trademarked so much about rice boys.
Yeah.
Their colours, everything you could possibly do.
Yeah.
It costs us a fortune.
Yeah.
But it's a fairly significant wedge of IP to protect, right?
Yeah.
And, they changed the sign.
Yeah.
And then closed the restaurant 6 months later.
But it is interesting what you say, Corey, because then, particularly in the art world, because you can, it's very quickly you can change and go, well, that's my art.
Exactly.
How do you, Jesus, that's,
and then
then someone could go and take a photo of him taking a photo.
There's a really good book, and I feel like this is a really good book to end it on, and everyone should read it or listen to it. It's called Steal Like an Artist by Austin Kleon, and it's just to summarize it, it's about getting lots of sources of inspiration and condensing it down into your own idea.
There we go. That's a good summary of a book. I think the other thing, sorry, what did you just said something that I...
Steal Like an Artist? Corey is handsome?
No. No. Oh, no. What I was thinking was, when when someone looks at any piece of art, specifically if I'm talking about like a painting or some kind of visual medium that's on a wall or whatever, and someone looks and goes, oh, I could have done that.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, but you didn't.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's the point.
Yeah.
You can copy that and it'll be real fucking close.
Go to Lincraft.
But it's never going to be that Picasso that's on the wall.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's kind of a little bit.
Yeah.
I sort of think about that a lot as well. I don't know.
That one kind of depends on my mood.
What do you mean?
On the day, some days I'll be in not the best mood. I'm like, yeah, whatever, fuck off. I could do it, not a problem. And then 90% of the time I'm like, yeah, but you didn't do it first.
Yeah. I also think that it's like, okay, well then try.
Yeah. Try.
I've done that before where I've seen artwork. I'm like, I can definitely do that. And I've gone home and I've bought the paint, I've bought the canvases, and I'm like, fuck yeah. And it all went in the bin. Spent like $300 on shit. It's just like, what am I doing here? It's like, I just didn't know how. I was like, why is this paint doing that? I didn't understand what was happening. Clearly non-skilled at all anyway. So I'm not going to retire and start painting, that's for sure.
Right, let's wrap it up there.
All right,
That was episode 37.
Oh, was it? There you go.
Was there a significance to that number? Or?
No.
Cool.
Episode 30.
You just said it kind of like it was.
Yeah, I was waiting for the punchline too.
Yeah, it's good. All right.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks, guys.